Hello guys, welcome to the fifth episode. Weekly outlook. That's for 19th to 13th of June. That's for the Forex weekly analysis, top-down analysis for the pairs we are looking to trade in the coming week. I hope you had a very peaceful week, and of course, the reason why we do this is also for us to put ourselves at good odds to have more pips and better pips in the coming weeks. In the coming week. Okay, so without much further ado, we're going to go into the business of the day. All right, of course, you always know that string for pips, we always start with the fundamentals. All right, then from the fundamentals, you go to the monthly, the weekly, the daily, and the 4 hour. But of course, recently, the fundamental have not been actually bringing out interesting data that we can actually trade off. All right, so the technicals have been giving us the entries required for us to make profits in these markets. Okay, so the only arena where we have something coming out interesting is from the US. Okay, other data have been coming out from other countries, that's the Eurozone, the UK. Okay, um, and the Australia. I think Australia has some interesting data from last week, from this week, last week rather. So, but what I see is that nothing really interesting coming out that will actually impact the market or move the market fundamentally. These are just quick. I call it quick volatility. All right, they're just like thin air. They don't actually move the market that much. They're not going to actually shift the trend. All right, so I don't actually pay attention to most of those data released. But the one that actually caught my attention last week was data that came out on the 2nd of June, which is the ISM manufacturing PMI. That's the US manufacturing PMI for the month of June. Okay, and the figure came out at 48.5. Okay, the figure fell below 50. So this further buttress the point that look, the US economy is really struggling and are trying to breathe. Okay, you see that all the data have been coming out be negative, and I keep saying this that look, as long as this has pointed to negative values, the US dollar will remain weak for the foreseeable future until we see some really good data coming out. All right, so from this, okay, I don't want to be faster than my shadow, but from the manufacturing PMI I'm seeing, I'm actually having high hopes of good GDP coming out from the US in the next quarter. All right, but let's see what the next manufacturing PMI will come out with. Also gonna look at the service PMI. We look at the retail sales. Okay, to give us pointers as to what the GDP is going to look at for the third quarter. All right. So we'll be looking at, of course, the DXY. We always look at the DXY. All right. We'll look at DXY. We look at the AUD USD, the USD CAD, the USD South African Rand, and of course the yen basket. Then the currency we'll be focused on will be NZD JPY, and then we'll be looking at the pounds NZD, and then the euro NOK. Okay, that's euro Norwegian krone. So this will be what we'll be looking at this week. And so without further ado, let's go into the charts. Okay. So before we actually go into the charts, this one I always like to make reference to this. Okay, so please take a mental picture of this. I've gone ahead to do the analysis for this week, so you could actually always come back to make reference to this Excel sheet. All right, so please make a mental picture of this. I want to keep this video short, so I'm going to be showing you how I came about this table in the analysis. All right, so it can be fast. All right, so I'll look at the currency, individual currency pairs. While you can take your time, always come back to the video. All right, look at this Excel sheet and compare it with the analysis that we have been doing. Okay, so the first on the list, of course, is the US index. All right, so from our previous video, I always encourage you to go back to the previous videos, all right, so that I can follow up. For those of us that have not been following up, if you are new to this channel, also don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like this video. Click on the notification bell so you can always get notified when we release this weekly outlook going forward. All right, so we established from previous analysis that the DXY is up, it's on the upward spree on the monthly. All right, so from the monthly, okay, we still maintain this trend line going up, so the momentum is still bullish on the weekly, on the monthly. Then on the weekly, all right, we established that This low here right here have been taken out. This low right here have been taken out. Okay, I'm just repeating myself. All right, but we've actually done this analysis before in the past. So we're looking at price to actually come into this place right here. So probably come in here before going up and then coming down to go, to go south. All right. So the weekly is also the weekly is actually bearish at the moment. Okay, because we've had this low taken out here. All right. So let's see whether price will come all the way to this point here, give us a push to the upside, and continue all the way down to that monthly demand zone as we have marked previously. Okay, then we go down to the daily. Okay, we also established that the daily has been moving downwards. All right, the daily is also bearish. All right, so actually what expected price from that's about 3 weeks ago, wanted price to come into here before going up, but price did not do that. All right, however, price gave us this break here, right here. That means that it still wants to continue to the downside. All right, that's the daily. Then on the 4 hour, all right, let me take out these annotations from the daily so that it doesn't confuse you. All right, you can see that this is a no-brainer. The 4 hour is still in a downward trend. All right, it's still in a downward trend. So we're also bearish on the 4 hour. You can see what price did here. Price did the whole of this, come down here, all the way up, came back, took out this low here, and then maintained a bearish trend to the downside. So price is currently here. So we're looking for price to actually trade probably into this zone. All right, so those of us looking for the short, so we're going to be looking for shorting opportunities into this zone before we actually move to the upside. All right, that's it for the dollar index. So we go straight to, of course, we don't trade the dollar index directly. So I've always mentioned that currencies like the AUD USD is a flip of the dollar index. Okay, so if you're buying the dollar index, you're selling the AUD USD and vice versa. All right, so going back to the monthly on the AUD USD. All right, we also established that this guy is on the downward trend. All right, so you can see that price have now eliminated this price is trading underneath this trend line, this bearish trend line. Okay, so then we go to the weekly. All right, you can see that price eliminated this demand, this bearish trend line. Okay, and then it is playing around there. So we established that AUD USD is in a bearish, sorry, in a bullish consolidation. Okay, because that's actually eliminated this trend line. So we are actually expecting price to come and take out this high, this zone right here, maybe probably to the upside, before we fully say that okay, yes, that the AUD is completely bullish on the weekly, rather than saying it is in a bullish compression or bullish consolidation. All right, so those of us in the mentorship group actually know what I mean when I say price is in a bullish consolidation or bullish compression. All right, so well, the state of the matter here right now is that AUD is bullish on the weekly. So, but we're actually seeing that price have been holding on to this area here, to this area. Let's see whether price will come down, give us some sell to the downside before going upward to come to the monthly here, realign with the monthly, and then head down the other way. All right, so we keep our fingers crossed and see what price is going to do for us. All right, so now on the daily, we also said that we wanted price to come and eliminate either this high or this lows right here. That's from the weekly. Count with me. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we had this, the price was here as at our last week analysis. Okay, so we said we wanted price to come and do this, or price to come up and do this. So you can see price actually going to the upside and then being rejected on this line right up here. That's this resistance up here. So we expect price to either break up here or go down, break up here before we take any final decision as to what we want to do on the AUD USD. Right now, I advise to stay away from a ranging market as price is being indecisive right now. Okay, so of course, as also established, the price is actually bullish on the daily. Okay, so we head to the 4 hour. The 4 hour is not any different from the daily, okay, because the range that we're actually seeing on the daily time frame is the same range we're seeing on the 4 hour. So we're also having the same expectation for the AUD USD on the 4 hour. All All right, so we move to the next currency pair, which is the USD card. This wasn't on our list last week. Yeah, it was on our list, but we did not look at it. Okay, we didn't look at it because nothing really interesting happening. The only time I'll be interested in taking any action on the USD card is if price trade to this zone right here. That's for a buy actually. So now I had mentioned to you earlier that fundamentally the US dollar is weak and we should not be buying the USD. Okay, but the thing is this: price doesn't move in a straight line. No matter how weak a currency is, a time come. All right, maybe a very brief period of time that there'll be retracements, even though prices have been dropping. For instance, like what we're seeing here, you can see that prices have been dropping for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For 5 months, prices have been bearish, has been putting bearish candles. Okay, so but anytime from now, you can actually expect a little retracement to the upside. Okay, maybe to the 50% of this push here. All right, before going down. But overall, fundamentally, the US dollar is weak. All right. So if at all we're going to be placing buys on these currencies, all right, so we just want to catch a quick buy. All right, we're not going to hold it for too long and then act accordingly as to what the fundamentals are saying. All right, so go to the weekly. All right, the weekly is bullish. The weekly is bullish because this trend line has not been eliminated. All right, so and then this zone right here too have not been eliminated. This zone right here, this weekly zone right here have not been eliminated. So probably price will come here, have a bounce and go up. So for those of us who are day traders and scalping, all right, maybe you want to maybe take some sales into the zone. But if I were you, I would desist from taking any trade right here because we are very low in the curve. Just so for those of us in the mentorship group, we know what I mean when I say we are low in the curve. All right. So now on the daily, you go down to the daily time frame. The daily time frame is bearish. All right, so we don't have to stress ourselves about this. Okay, daily time frame is bearish because what can we see? You can see that price is maintaining this trend line here. Okay, price has done this. Price have done this. Price have done this. Can we see that straight here? This point here, and then so price eliminated this zone right here. Price eliminated this zone right here. Yeah, this low here has been taken out. So price is actually bearish on the daily. All right. So right now, price may still want to trade into this weekly zone here. So be careful. All right. Don't be too quick to place a buy. Allow price to show you what it wants to do. Let it come into this zone right here. All right. And give you a very good signal before you can buy to the upside. All right. So on the 4 hour, what do you have on the 4 hour? The same scenario is playing out on the 4 hour. We are also bearish on the 4 hour. All right. So the monthly is a buy, the weekly is a buy, the daily is bearish, and the 4 hour is bearish. Okay. So you may want to look for some sell position into this place block, but like I mentioned earlier, please desist from actually placing sales right now because we are low in the curve. Let's position ourselves for a buy from this zone right here. Don't forget, you had it first here in swing 4 pips. All right, so now we go to the next currency pair. That will be the next currency pair will be the USD South African Rand. It's a no-brainer. We're not going to spend a lot of time here. Just go back, make reference to the last video, and then please subscribe to this channel. Okay, so we can see that price is actually still bullish on the monthly. Okay, like we've rightly established from our last week analysis. And then we can see here also that price here in the monthly is actually on a bullish consolidation. All right, that means price has been is bullish but indecisive as to where it wants to go next. Here, the weekly is bullish, okay, in a bullish consolidation. All right. So we go down to the daily again. We also go down to the daily. All right. This is a no-brainer. Of course, price is still respecting this downward trend line. All right. It has not broken it. We were expecting that last week that price would break this trend line, but it did it. All right. It gave us a false push to the upside on this candle and then started going back down. The US dollar has really been very, 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 very weak. Okay, so let's keep our fingers crossed and see what price are for us in this coming week. All right, so on the 4 hour, same scenario is playing out on the 4 hour. Okay, let's see if price will come and actually take out this place right here. Okay, let's say price will come and take out this place right here, then we can fully say that yes, the 4 hour is actually bullish, and then from there we can actually tell that yes, market dynamic is shifting to the upside before we actually take any further entry on this pair. So we'll go to the next currency pair, okay, which is we'll go to the next currency pair. All right. So the next currency pair is going to be the yen basket. That's the yen index. All right. So price have been doing something very interesting. Okay. So now, first of all, in the mentorship group, I've explained to you the reason why we said that this pair on the monthly time frame is in a bearish consolidation, and you can see why it is how it's playing out now. All right. So monthly here is bearish, okay, because this zone is still in play, is still in control right here. This zone right here is still in control, okay. Then we go down to the weekly, all right. You can see how price is playing out, okay. Let's not forget this head and shoulder pattern, okay. Please go back to the previous video and watch if you have not watched, so you can follow up on what we are doing, all right. So now look at price, okay. Price just did this. That was I think that was the second week. Try to break this trend line here, but it's still holding. Okay, it's here to come and eliminate this zone right here. That's this low right here. If it eliminates this low right here, then we can say for sure that price is in a bearish consolidation, or as it is right now. Price in a bearish consolidation on the weekly. All right. So we move next to the daily time frame. Okay, so I'll explain a scenario that has been happening between here. That's you can see this head and shoulder pattern playing out on the daily like we had predicted. That was I think about 2 weeks ago or so. All right, we had discussed this head and shoulder pattern forming on the daily time frame. All right, so we saw a head and shoulder pattern on the daily time frame, and then we saw an opposing head and shoulder pattern on the weekly time frame, which was conflicting for us. But however, I said let us see what price will do. Let us see if price will come and take out this low right here. Okay, but of course, in the grand scheme of things, all right, the JPY index is actually bearish. All right, so we don't actually need to go down to the 4 hour because nothing really much. It's almost the same. It's almost the same scenario that's actually playing out on the 4 hour. Okay, so we can see this right. All right, like I said, I don't want to form any bias for the 4 hour until I see price coming to take out this zone right here. All right, so I'm not gonna say much. All right, I'll prefer that price take out this zone before I form any bias for the JPY. All right, so now the pair we're actually looking at to trade off the yen baskets is actually the NZD-JPY, which we actually analyzed last week, and we said we agreed that we'll be actually buying this currency pair. Those of us in the mentorship group are still holding this trade. All right, this trade has been going our way, just as predicted. All right, it's actually playing out in our favor. All right, so we established that this pair is bullish. All right, it's bullish. All right, and then this side right here, that's this zone right here, is in control on the monthly time frame. So this time frame is bullish for the NZD-JPY, and then also on the weekly, it is also bullish. You can see that price actually playing out very, very nicely. And we're actually looking for price to trade all the way to the upside right here. All right, so we've been holding this trade. I think I've been holding this trade for about 2 weeks now. And then let's go down to the, let me show you what I did. Okay, so from this zone right here, can you see this blue line right here? We took a trade from here. We took our first entry from this zone right here, this demand zone right here. Price came in and tapped us in and went up. Then during the week, it came down. It gave us another entry from this 4 hour demand zone right here. All right, and then went to the upside. So we're still in this trade. We're actually targeting a 1:3 on this trade, but if you see other entry opportunities, we actually look to trade it to the upside. Okay, so monthly is bullish, daily bullish, and weekly bullish, daily bullish, and of course the 4 hour is also bullish. Okay, it's a no-brainer. The 4 hour is also bullish because you can see that price is still pushing to the upside. Let me take this out so that it doesn't confuse you. Okay, So we can see that price actually moving to the upside. You can see this up and then up. See price have actually taken out this high right here. So let's see if price will give us a very good another entry on the 4 hour. Okay, it's a demand zone right here. If price will actually come down and give us that, and then there's another one right here. Okay, so let's see what price will do. Price this demand zones will actually act out in the coming week. All right, so the pound NZD, okay, this is an independent pair from others, okay, as it's not in the DXY category or the JP or the yen index category. All right, so we established that this zone right here, that okay, we actually established from previous analysis that the JPY NZD is actually bullish. All right, however, this supply zone right here, this supply zone right here is in control on the monthly time frame. So that we said that we should actually desist. Okay, we agreed that we're going to stay away from buying this pair, and then our attention will actually go to, that's our effort to go into selling of this currency pair. Okay, so because this zone is still in control right now, price is struggling around there. All right, so if you go down to the weekly, we're going to see clearer details as to what price is trying to do. Okay, we go to the weekly. All right, we can see what price is doing. You can see what price is doing. Price have been acting, has been acting and struggling to actually take out this weekly supply zone right here. Okay, price have been acting around this zone right here. You can see that price have been bouncing off this zone. So we actually look for price to actually trade into this zone, probably give us a push to the upside from this zone right here. Okay, so please, you should know the difference between price in a trend and then a supply or a demand zone in control. It is very, very critical. Those of us in the mentorship group knows what that is all about. Okay, so the weekly is bullish, all right, but this zone right here is in control at the moment. All right, so we're actually focusing on sales, actually forget sell entries. Okay, so those of us in the mentorship group knows that okay, we've actually placed a sell on this trade. Okay, actually placed a sell on this trade and it's actually acting out. Though price have been ranging for a while, but since this is swing trading and we hold trade here for a very long time, price may actually tend to bring you into temptation to want to close out a trade, because you can see that price have not actually moved much since our last week analysis. So count with me. This is Friday's candle, this is Thursday, this is Wednesday, this is Tuesday, this is Monday's candle. So that last week price was actually on this candle right here. It had not broken this support and resistance zone. Okay, so we said that okay, if price breaks this zone, we're actually going to start looking for sell entry, which we got. Okay, because don't forget, price did this. Okay, went up, down, eliminated this low right here. That's why the daily is bearish. Okay, so if we're looking for bearish evidences to the downside all the way to this place here. Okay, so come with me to the 4 hour. You can see things playing out right now. Okay, so we had a very good entry here. So when price did this, price came and eliminated this zone right here, this support and resistance zone right here. Okay, and give us a very, very good entry on the 4 hour. All right, so it gave us a very clean shot. All right, so I remember we had this right here. Okay, and we're actually targeting all the way down here. So we'll be managing our trade as price trade into this zone. All right, it's not a given. Look, price, it is 50-50. All right, we've done our analysis, so we'll just allow price to do its thing. So that's it for the pound NZD. Okay, so please take your time to look at this video very well so you can understand what we are trying to say. I'm trying to keep this video very, very short. Okay, so now we go to the euro NOK. Okay, so we've also established on this pair that look, this pair is bullish on the monthly time frame. We can see that this is still maintaining this trend line, here. All right, so price is still bullish, going up to the upside on the monthly. So on the weekly, okay, look at where price is currently. All right, the weekly is also bullish. All right, so we actually anticipated price to, that's 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago, we wanted price to actually trade into this zone right here. We wanted price to trade into this zone right here before we can actually place buys to the upside. However, when we did our analysis last week, we saw that price gave us this push. Can you see this candle here, this massive candle on the daily? Can you see this candle on the daily? Price gave us that push. So we actually saw that, okay, since we got this push from last week, this push may actually give us enough momentum to come all the way to take out this high right here, and then we'll start looking for bullish evidence to the upside. However, we didn't get that. We saw that price came here and started ranging. Okay, now so on the daily is bearish. Okay, because this trend line is still maintained. This trend line has been eliminated, but this zone right here has not been eliminated. So this is a bearish consolidation. All right. So we'll sit on our hands. And for me, I will sit on my hands until price actually push into this zone right here. Since price refused to take out this zone, I will surprise to take out this zone, come into this zone on the weekly, and I may be buying the whole of this weekly zone, all right, to the upside. Okay, so if we go down to the 4 hour, we'll see that in clearer details. Okay, we can see that price is still bouncing to the downside, and price may come to eliminate this line right here, this low right here, come down here and then go up to the upside. However, I'll keep our fingers crossed and see what price have for us during the week. Okay, so as just like I did in the that was I think 2 days ago. Yes, I gave us an update on the SMT. That's yeah, JPYP, and showed you what has been playing out. All right, so that's it for this week. Forex analysis. This week, that's next for next week. Top down analysis. All right, what we're expecting price to do, and I hope that price acts in our favor. So I'm wishing you guys a very full week. Enjoy your weekend and let price do its thing. All right. Here in Swing for Pips, we swing and we chill. All right. We allow price to do its thing. So have a blessed weekend and may the pips forever be in our favor. Bye.